All right, we're back. In a nice room here at Centerline Digital. Looking out behind us there is the bar area. You can't see it because this big sheet of paper's in the way. But we've got Lab517 in full swing. Our client ShelterBox gave us a brief earlier today. Came up with 5 different challenges that they wanted us to work on in our 48-hour challenge to help them with marketing for everything from awareness to retention to higher donations. And what we're going to do in this afternoon update is we're going to talk to some of our team leads on those different challenges. This is Josh Odell. He's a Centerliner here. He's working on one of the challenges. He's one of our leads. So one by one, we'll pull people in, talk a little bit about what they're doing for each of the challenges, which ones they're taking on, and what we've done so far. It's been exactly 4 hours, I think, since we launched and got the kickoffs going. So Josh, how's it going?
Good, going good so far. Again, my name's Josh. I'm an associate creative director here at Centerline. My team has been charged with challenge number 3, which is creating how to generate more awareness of ShelterBox and all the various ways we can do that. So after we got started, we immediately got started on our squad. We're working on an integrated marketing plan for them with a lot of different pieces, just some different things, anywhere from social tiles, web banners, things like that, things that they can integrate. When it would be good to integrate those things and where those can fall into the whole thing. Nice. And then also the big piece that we're working on is going to be a 30 to 60 second PSA for ShelterBox. Which I'm actually going to be going to a meeting to delve into that a little bit more right after this 2 minutes is up. And as soon as that's over, I'm going to actually be writing this myself. So I'm going to go home and get that writing done, however long that takes. We're going to be shooting it first thing in the morning. Nice. And we've got animators going, we've got editors up, we've got composers, we've got everybody lined up to really make this thing cool. So awesome. We're really excited. Yeah.
So the PSA, where's that planning to run?
So that's going to be part of the sort of marketing strategy. I think at this point, we're looking at trying to get that, obviously kind of a YouTube and something on their website as well. Right. But maybe with some implications long term, some other places that they can go with that we're kind of putting into the marketing strategy. Very cool. But we really want to make this, with ShelterBox, really appeals to something that we can all sort of identify with in a way. We don't all know what it's like to go through a natural disaster, but there are these sort of human elements that are part and parcel of a ShelterBox and the things that it provides in terms of hope and dignity and things like that we can all identify with. So we really want to create this awareness, really want to kind of hit at those really human things that we all kind of feel and know about.
Yeah. And then one last question before you do have to run and do it, but so the squad, who all was a part of it? What all different roles at Centerline were all in?
We had everybody. We had people from our account teams. We had project managers, project coordinators. We had our director of internal marketing in there for a while. We had animators. We had composers. We had editors. We had interactive developers. Just pretty much one of everything from Centerline was there. Everybody contributed, giving good ideas, and then we kind of took what they came with and are running with it.
Cool. Sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're excited.
All right. Well, we'll be catching up with you again tomorrow. I think we're doing another live at 9 a.m. So we'll catch up where it's going.
Sounds good. All right.
Thanks a lot, Josh.
Periscope down.
All right, Periscope. We're going to have another one of our team leads come in just a minute. But one of the things that I wanted to go ahead and get out there is, in case you need an update, there's 3 things to keep in mind. Come on in. Come on.
All right.
We're live, though.
Yeah, we're live. You're already on, so you can just wear the background.
Excellent.
So, we just talked to Josh. I'm getting anybody who's tuning in and anybody who watches this later up to speed that Centerline Digital is a digital marketing agency in Raleigh, North Carolina. We do integrated marketing and digital marketing. And
great. Yep.
ShelterBox is an international aid organization that does an amazing job of providing shelter and clothing and comfort to people who have been a part of a natural disaster. They're usually deploying their amazing ShelterBoxes within 48 hours of that disaster, no matter where it is on the globe. And so we've started the 48-hour challenge to help them work through 5 marketing challenges. And it's kind of a cool process. We're calling it Lab517. It allows us to practice agile marketing principles. It allows ShelterBox, a really good organization, to go with some great marketing. So we just talked to Josh, he's handling challenge number 3.
Yep.
Why don't you tell us about which challenge you're taking on,
Yeah.
and who you are, first of all.
So I'm Tyler Dady, Associate Creative Director here. So our team, we have about 15 people right now. We are on challenge 1, which specifically is talking about just the year-round idea of giving. So if you think of Haiti or even Myanmar that hit last night, it's things that hit the news, that hit CNN, that's talked about a lot, but in reality, around an average of every 2 weeks is when a big natural disaster hits, and that's when they deploy. So what our team is trying to do is get across the message, and we have a couple executions which I'll speak to, but specifically about how the year-round giving and donations is what help drives this. And that's the focus on our team, is basically trying to get the message out that, hey, this is hugely important, and it's important whenever it's not needed, because when it is, it needs to already be there.
Right.
You can't be sitting around waiting for those donations to come in. Not that those aren't appreciated, they absolutely are. But so our team, a couple executions, we're doing a 30-second animation. It's gonna be fun. I'll teaser it just a little bit, but basically the idea of where the ShelterBox has been, where it could be, and where it definitely has not been.
Okay.
And I'll leave it at that. It'll be really fun. It'll be live. We have some very humorous, funny people, and 2 animators that are willing to take cat naps every 2 hours to get it done, which we just got out of a meeting. Personally, with a 1.5-year-old, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but hey, you know what? If you want to get it, you get it.
Yeah.
We're doing 2 other 15-second videos, which will be fun, live action. We're going to go drive around Raleigh, get different settings. Just a lot of really fun things. We're building a couple interactive social tiles. We're just trying to be able to give ShelterBox as much as possible so that they have the ability to, one, either set the tone of year-round giving and just year-round recognition. So again, it's just trying to highlight that just because a natural disaster has happened and you're aware of it, you may not have known that 7 or 8 have already happened, unless you were clued into that. So that's the idea.
Yeah. And they were talking about earlier in the launch that they were delivering, or they were responding to natural disasters 26 times a year, about once every 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
And they were saying that the majority of those are things that like people like me and you never even hear about.
No.
And yet they're on the ground and they're working and delivering boxes within 48 hours, all these
Well,
different
and the incredible part, they had up to 7 teams on the ground in different places around the globe at the same time.
Yeah.
So that was the compelling part to us. And so people naturally resonated towards individual challenges. And the great part is I feel like this is so different from others. And all of them are, in reality, it's just people that were very passionate about that naturally came to our team, which is the best part. So, we got together, we had concepting, we came out of there, and, we have 40 hours left, and we already have people out going to shoot, we already have animators drawing and sketching out things, and it's incredible whenever you get collective, really smart people together that working with a really passionate company that we can crank this out in 40 hours. I'm curious to see where we end up, because I feel like we're going to get even more done in that amount of time, just because there's a buzz around it, people are excited, and of course there's beer and coffee, so people are either going to be a little bit more passionate about being up late, or they'll be more relaxed about it. So we'll see.
It's a recycling process.
It is.
You caffeinate, you hydrate, and then you alcoholate.
Exactly. I think we should build a graph out of that.
Yeah, we should.
Okay.
Yeah, there's got to be a better word than alcoholate.
No, but I actually think that's the good hashtag. It's alcoholate.
Yeah, we'll work on that, and then next year, hashtag Lab517.
Perfect.
Thanks. Tomorrow morning we're going to be catching up again at 9 o'clock to see where everything's going.
Great.
One last thing before I let you go. Who all was a part of the squad? Tell me some of the people who came in.
Excellent. Sorry about that. That was
Nice
speaking to it. So we had a very wide variety of people. So we had, let's just start going down the list. We have Alicia Hawkins is my producer on this. I'm considered a creative lead, even though there are other people. Mackenzie Ames is my writer. So I'm considering her a creative lead. Meredith Massey, she is one on accounts, but she had an amazing idea for creative that she was working with Ronnie, who was actually going out and to shoot. So just trying to give people the ability to be able to go out and do that. I have, from an animation standpoint, Jesse Stormer, Jinky, they're able to come in. They're knocking that out. I have Joe and Brandon from music, they're composing. I have Dave Hyatt. I have one of the trims, I got Dylan. Sorry, Drew. But it's, and there's even more than that. I can go through the rest of the list. Sandy, Kate, Nate from Strategy, the list can go on. It was really fun to be able to sit in a room and just have people that are respectful, but you could just tell everyone was trying to chime in and give as much as they can. But I don't know, it was really fun. So there's more people than that, but it's just it's been a really fun time. There's really good buzz, and we're gonna knock it out of the park.
Awesome. Well, we're looking forward to seeing where it goes.
Excellent.
Yeah, we'll be catching up with you tomorrow morning.
Perfect.
Cool. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it.
No problem. Happy to be here.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You bet.
All right. Get back to it.
All right, so challenge number 3, challenge number 1. We're getting ready to talk about a different challenge. Javier is coming in.
Hey, how's it going?
We are live already, so
All right.
we'll reset a little bit and talk about it. We've already established what Centerline does, what ShelterBox is, what Lab517 is all about. We've had a chance to talk about a couple of the challenges we're taking on. But I think we've covered challenge 3 and challenge 1. What challenge are you working on? Who are you and what challenge are you working on?
My name is Javier Leyva. I'm an associate creative director here, and we're working on challenge 4, which is Beyond the Box. And the issue that ShelterBox is having is that they actually have a really cool feature where you can track your box, and it's a very popular feature because the idea is, you donated, money for the box, and it should land somewhere, and you should be able to see where it's going and when it was deployed and all that. The problem with that is that sometimes the box sits in a warehouse. So when you donate the money and you go to track your box, you add in your tracking number. It's just sitting in a warehouse. So it kind of didn't have the effect that it was intended to have.
Right.
So our challenge is to how do we either bring new life to that and redirect that, or rethink how the interactivity with this popular feature that's not really working right now.
Because it is the box is just one of the things that we haven't talked about yet. The boxes are huge. I think we had a picture on one earlier. They contain a tent. They contain all sorts of supplies. The tents are immense. I know that's been all over our Snapchat channel and on Instagram at Centerline. But what the boxes are intended to do is they're intended to be ready to go in all parts of the world before they're actually needed. So when we're talking about sitting in a warehouse, they're not just sitting there because they're going idle. They're sitting at places that have been deployed specifically so that they can get to places where natural disasters might happen rapidly, right? So,
Exactly.
so when you're tracking them, it might not be doing anything right now, but when it's needed, it's there, it's ready to go, and it's immediate.
Exactly. So one of the ideas that we're thinking about is how do you use that delay to our advantage? So we're toying with the idea of creating some sort of notification, either through text message or an email notification. And the idea is that once you get that notification, maybe that reignites your passion and your commitment towards this organization, and you might give some more,
Right.
and also it just tells you where it was deployed. So that's one of the things we're working on. Another thing that we're working on is really understanding, trying to map out the strategy of the donor and the way they should consume this message that we're doing. So we're doing a competitive analysis with other charitable organizations that are not doing similar things, but that have interactive features like this, so that you can kind of get an understanding of that. Another thing we want to do is create short social assets, so that either animated GIFs that are loopable, that kind of shows the new interactivity, and also some static images for social and for just to push out to some of the donors. And the other interactive feature that we're thinking about doing is creating an interactive map where you could really try to see how all these boxes are being deployed. Not only boxes, but materials too.
Right.
How they're being deployed, where they're being deployed, and all those data points, you could either use maybe a slider to see it over time. Those data points could be clickable, and they could have media in there, pictures, and other information that you could really dive deep into where these boxes are going. So we're moving away from track your box almost like you do with the postal service to really seeing these boxes and how they move in real time.
Yeah. So you're about 4 hours and 18 minutes or so into the process right now, right? What all is already happening in terms of content creation?
I mean, it's crazy. I feel like this one's the toughest one, but that's just me. And I had a lot of anxiety going into it. And I could tell that it was like the least popular one by when all the teams kind of spread out and we're like, hey, what about us? But actually, minutes into the ideation process, we were it clicked. all started making sense. Everybody on the team is super excited. Tonight we're starting our content creation, and tomorrow we're going to go dive into production. Where in tandem with that, we're rolling out our strategy. So everything's moving really fast. I don't envy our clients right now because they're seeing it in real time. Like that's not something that is typical, for the client to see how the sausage is made. And I asked them, I said, "Is this exciting or terrifying?" And I think that they said it was both, but mostly exciting because this is like an adrenaline rush.
Yeah. It's
So,
a different viewpoint.
Yeah.
When you pack everything into this amount of time and you actually see how it's working, I bet they're having a good time.
I think it's really cool. It's a great experience for them, and it's a great experience for us. So we're thoroughly enjoying it. So it's very cool.
Nice to hear. We're going to be checking back in with you at about 9 a.m. tomorrow.
All right, so
find out where everything's going.
Hopefully I'll be wearing something else.
Yeah, hopefully so. Get changed, get at least a little bit of nap or whatever else.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Excellent.
Cool deal. Thank you, Javier.
All right, see ya.
So another thing to catch up on is we're talking about, obviously, ShelterBox. It's a really cool organization. Come on in. We're already live. I'm catching people up in the middle. So we're talking about ShelterBox. It's a really amazing organization that does a great job of getting these things out there. But one of the things that nonprofits and organizations like ShelterBox always deal with is the fact that they're nonprofit. They don't have a lot of money to spend on marketing. They have to be clever. They have to be ingenious. They have to really understand where their audience is. They have to understand how to communicate with them to keep them interested in times when there's not a natural disaster, because obviously they're about response, but they have to be prepared. The boxes may sit in a warehouse for a while, but if they don't have those boxes ready to go long in advance and keep people interested when there's not something to focus on, that's a really, really big challenge for groups like ShelterBox and other groups. So part of the Lab517 in this experiment that we're doing is to help them understand better how to market in those downtimes. There's not a lot of downtimes, but they've got to keep working on it during the downtimes. So bringing in Wally now, we've talked about challenge number 1, number 3, and number 4, I think.
Right.
Out of 5 challenges. Tell us who you are and which challenge you're working on.
All right, I'm Wally Hitchcock. I'm an ACD. We're working on challenge number 2, which is donation transparency.
Okay.
Where does your money go? How does it get used by ShelterBox? One of their biggest problems is people donate only when a disaster happens. We are trying to drive more of that all the time or every year donation so they are prepared. The biggest thing they need to do is be prepared for these disasters so they can respond so quick. So we're going to explain when your money comes in, we start building these assets for the next disaster, not necessarily the disaster that just happened. We are going to do that through an interactive infographic that kind of shows the process of a disaster strikes. We're sending boxes out. Your money is going to go into building the next box, which we will pre-stage, and when the next disaster strikes, we're already ready to respond.
Nice. So tell me a little bit about the process. So about 4 hours and 20 minutes ago now or so,
Right.
we launched into solving these challenges, the marketing challenges that ShelterBox really needs to take on. We broke out into squads to figure out what was going on. Tell us a little bit about your squad, what was involved, and what kind of process were you taking?
So our first squad was, we had an assortment of people from project managers, creative directors, strategy people, art director, content, me who comes from a design and interactive background, and some interactive designers, and we sat down and talked about how are we going to explain this? How do you get people to realize that the money may not go directly to the event that just happened?
Right.
It's down the road. How do you encourage people not to just buy the box, but to allow ShelterBox to put the money in the areas they need to use it, which is building these pallets of supplies or the shelter kits. So we threw out several ideas. One of them was looking at the website and see if maybe we could help with that. Another one was the idea of the infographic. It seemed to just work so easy because it's a great way to explain it. Interactive just gets people a little bit more involved in it. They're more likely to scroll through. So we moved on. We also looked at, when we talked to the ShelterBox people, they actually mentioned that having a clear marketing message that their ambassadors can give out for all volunteers, that would be great because they're not sure how to explain it. They don't have a cohesive message. How do we put that together?
Yeah. So the clients came in, they were part of the squad, right?
Right, they came in for a few minutes and they were really helpful answering our questions. They kind of gave us some new directions that we hadn't even thought about yet. When we broke out from there, we kind of pitched our ideas to everybody else. The infographic was probably the one that didn't cross over the most, and it really dealt with the message we were trying to deliver, which is where does your money go when you donate? Not just as a general thing, but really trying to speak directly to somebody who's on the site, ready to donate money.
Right.
So just to clarify that message, we sat down in our team and rather quickly came up with the idea of how it should work.
Nice.
So we've already put that together. We've got our sketches. We're ready to go into design.
Good. So the next step is design. Then you did some sketches in 4 hours. You brainstormed. You did some sketches.
We did sketches. We did rough copy. We ran it past our ECD just to make sure we were all going in the right direction. There was a little interactive dance involved with that. But we got it pitched. We're ready to go into the design of it. We've talked to our developer. We plan to have her files to start with by noon tomorrow so she can start building it out.
So one other question. How did you all come up with the idea to move in an interactive direction? We've heard a little bit about some social direction, heard about some video direction. Where is that interactive tilt coming from? Did it just come in as the best way to tell the story?
It came in as the best way to tell the story, to keep people involved in it. So anytime you can interact with something, an infographic is great, but when it's just flat and it's just delivering information, it might as well be a poster. Right. We wanted to make sure that people interacted with it and that it did something to them, kind of reward them for looking through it. So we've added a little sound design ideas to it. And that way, every time they click through, they see the story coming in live. It's not a video that you just sit back and click play.
Yeah.
You have to interact with it and see that whole story.
Cool. Sounds like a really cool project.
Yeah.
We're going to be checking in, what is it, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning is our next one. So we're going to be doing 9, noon, and 5 tomorrow to check in on all this stuff. Is there going to be stuff happening from here on out through the rest of the night?
It's mostly going to happen tomorrow when we get our art director back in. He's scheduled to come in, and his specialty is art direction and sound design. So he's going to help our designer go through, lay it all out, start building the images. They are comfortable. They're going to be ready by noon for the developer to start working on it.
You having a good time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not my
Even on a compressed time frame?
Yeah. I've done these before, and they're always been a lot of fun.
Nice. I mean, to me, it's always an interesting concept because the more constraints you put on it, the more it frees your mind to the idea that you can't overthink it. There can't be long review cycles. You've got to make something that's really going to have an impact, and it brings it down to its essence. It's kind of raw, but it's right. So.
It is, and it's also nice to me that you can pull in people who might not normally work on a writing component or a creative component and pull in ideas that are completely fresh.
Yeah, people from whoever.
Whoever's available just to come in, project managers coming in, they're throwing out creative ideas, and they're great ideas. And they work really well when you're putting that extra constraint on you of this super constrained time frame.
Yeah. Sounds like fun.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
We'll be checking in. Enjoy it.
Thanks.
We'll pick you up tomorrow morning.
Awesome.
Thanks a lot, Bud. All right. So we've talked a little bit about some of the different types of content we're creating. Come on in.
Hey, Charlie.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. We've talked about some of the content we created. We've covered the idea of what Lab517 is. We've covered the idea of what ShelterBox really does a little bit, but we need more. Why we're doing it. And we've covered 1, 2, 3, and 4, which means that you must be on challenge number 5.
I am on 5.
Okay, well, introduce yourself and tell us what challenge number 5 is.
Hi, I'm Jennifer McMahon. I'm a senior project manager here at Centerline. Challenge 5 is brand continuity with the ambassadors. So, ShelterBox has a team of volunteers that they call ambassadors, and they go out to different clubs and speaking engagements and present what ShelterBox does, all the things we've been talking about today. And they present all these challenges to the organizations, and they are charged with raising money. They generate about 1/3 of all the donations that ShelterBox receives in a year, which is an amazing amount. Yeah. So we want to make sure that they have the right resources in place, they have the presentation tools that they need to do this, but more importantly, we want to make sure that they're talking about ShelterBox consistently. So we have ambassadors all over the country and all over the world they're all volunteers, they're non-paid, so they're talking about ShelterBox in slightly different ways. So how do we get to them a cohesive message that they can present to their speaking engagements? So that's our challenge today.
It's a big deal because, as you mentioned it, the ambassadors are primarily responsible for a lot of the donations. I would imagine a lot of those ambassadors are through Rotary Club, which is one of their primary association, right?
Yep.
And they said, I think, during our client brief about 4.5 hours ago that Rotary Club was the oldest service organization in America, if I remember.
Yeah, that was news to me too.
Yeah. I'd never heard of that. But if you've got a ton of ambassadors all over the country and all over the world who are responsible for telling your story to bring in money, if they're all telling a different story, it can cause wild variations in what people believe they're going to be putting out there.
Right.
So you took that information from the client brief, you went out, you ran a squad, and what kind of stuff came back in the ways of like, how do you level that out? What kind of content are we going to create?
Yeah, we had a lot of great ideas, and we had to narrow down to a few given the 48-hour challenge. But I think the ones that we narrowed down to was doing a site audit of the ambassador portal. So they have a portal that they all have access to through a login, and they can access different information and anything they want to get, really, to help them with their presentation. So we're going to do an audit of the portal to see what's in there. But before we do the audit, we're actually in the process right now. Our team is over in the next room over talking to an ambassador to figure out what his pain points are, the things he uses, and his tools for success for somebody to audit against.
Where is that ambassador? You got him on the phone?
We do have him on the phone. He's kind of tight right now. He's got a hard stop actually in 10 minutes, but we're trying to get all the information from him and pick his brains so that when we do the audit, we kind of something to check against. And then we're going to take a look at not just what's in the ambassador portal, but the content in the assets that are on the portal to make sure, even within the portal, that the message is cohesive across the different pieces. So that's one we're going to be working on, and then we're going to take a look at the UX of the ambassador site as well. And given the time limits, we're looking to do wireframes for a more simplified version to really just, when an ambassador comes to the portal, we know this person wants to hit 1, 2, and 3, and they want these resources. So looking at doing that. We are also looking at doing like an event resource kit for these ambassadors. They have a digital and physical, maybe in an actual box where there's some printout pieces that they can reference. So those are a couple of the ideas that came out that we're going to work on for the next 40 hours.
Yeah, 40-ish hours or so. All right, so we talked a little bit. One of the things we talked about, some videos that are going out, some social stuff. Some interactive pieces that are going out or being created that are going to happen, some video things that are going to happen in terms of awareness. But this is interesting to me because we're talking about marketing, and yet all the stuff that you said is all to empower face-to-face conversations, and yet it has this huge technological and content component to it, right? That you've got to be able to make sure that all the content that you want those people to have is available and easy to use, easy to find, and actually accomplishes the right thing. Otherwise, they'll go away and never come back again.
Yeah, absolutely. They found a trend right now where the ambassadors come to the portal when they first get access, but they won't come back. They find other resources outside of the portal. We don't know yet if it's not being updated or if there's something information valuable. So we're interested to audit it and see what's in there and offer our insights.
So an audit based on the idea that you're actually talking to somebody who uses it every day or should be using it every day? Genius.
Yeah.
All right, so you got, so you're working on the conversation now. You'll be working on the audit seemingly overnight-ish.
Yeah, we're hoping to get it all done tonight. So because this is going to inform a lot of the different deliverables that we do moving forward. So if we find there's gaps, assets, we're going to get a graphic designer or animator or somebody on those pieces, and then we're also going to see where we can leverage the other challenges assets to create that event resource kit that is really going to be informed from the audit.
So I've been trying to get one final question in for everybody that gives a little different perspective of how this process works. But in this case, we had a client brief around the bar with everybody that was going to be taking part in this for about 45 minutes. When you all started the squad, did you pull in the clients to ask more information? Did questions immediately come up, or did you have everything you needed based on that debrief for 45 minutes to get going?
I think we had most everything we needed from that debrief. They kind of came in at the end, which was helpful because we could share with them what we were thinking. And it was funny, we hadn't narrowed in on one of the ideas, and the client walked in and she pointed to the whiteboard. She goes, "Oh, the new resource kit." Like, okay, you need that, obviously. So it was kind of fun to have her there at the end to say, like, "Oh, I love these ideas. This is perfect."
That's cool to hear. Especially when they get to see the thinking, right?
Yeah.
You kind of pull back the curtain, they get to see everything you're thinking about, become part of the decision-making process. Makes it a little easier to know exactly what you should be creating.
Oh yeah, they're thrilled. They're actually in the interview with us right now,
Oh,
the
nice.
ambassador, because they're very invested, of course,
Very cool.
all the outcomes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So big squad, good squad, a lot of different minds coming together in there.
It was a smaller squad, but
Okay.
I think that worked for this challenge. It's very strategy focused. You know, we had mostly strategists in the room, but I think it worked out because it's the ambassador portal. That's a big aspect of it. So I think the smaller squad worked out well because we were able to narrow in on a few pieces, and then also knowing that we're going to be leveraging everybody else's outputs for our output. I think it worked out good.
Well, thank you very much. We'll be
Thank
checking
you.
in tomorrow morning about 9 o'clock to see how things are going. So,
All right.
yeah.
See you at 9.
Yeah. Have a good night. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so we've been through 5 different challenges that we're taking on with ShelterBox in a 48-hour period. It ranged in a lot of different ways, and not to bring this back too much to, there's two really big stories here, actually. One of the stories is that it's doing a lot of really good work for a really good organization in a very short period of time. An organization that is strapped in terms of their marketing budget. They don't have a lot to work with. And we are an organization that's been working with ShelterBox for about 5 years now, doing different things for us. But this allows us to bring a lot of people in out of all the Centerliners to kind of focus in and do a lot of amazing work in a short period of time that's going to help ShelterBox for a long period of time. And then there's the other side, which is, frankly, it may sound a little bit more trite, but it's the idea that we're talking about the way marketing works for a lot of organizations now. We're talking about things that are happening extremely rapidly. We've got to be extremely agile in terms of how we respond and how we think through how to solve these different challenges. We're talking about the idea that we did a client brief 4 hours ago. We were already doing some user experience work, some voice of customer work, talking to those ambassadors, and it's going to manifest its way into a better user experience to deliver better content for those ambassadors so they can get more donations in for a great worthy cause like ShelterBox. So a little reminder, if you want to follow along, the hashtag is Lab517. You can follow that on Instagram. You can follow it on Twitter. We'll be Periscoping again tomorrow 3 times, at 9, at noon, and at 5. If you want to follow us on Twitter for everything else that's going on, it's at Centerline. And if you want to hit me up and ask me any questions about what we're doing and why we're doing it, it's at John V. Lane, and I'm happy to talk with you at any point in time. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and we will be talking to you soon.